Woohoo!
Ooh.
So, thank you for joining us today. You have caught Conversations with Ladies Who Launch. And today I have the beautiful Laurie Stirling
Hi.
on live with me today. I've known Laurie for a couple of years now. I'm not sure how we met, but Laurie is a business coach and operational efficiency. What did you call yourself? Operational efficiency expert. I would say like extraordinaire magician.
Oh, thank you.
But why don't you jump in and tell us your official intro, because we all know Anthea's not very good at intros.
All good, all good. Yes, you got it right. I'm an operational efficiency expert. I do specialize in productivity for business owners who usually are like drowning in so much to do. Their business is getting momentum. They're having to wear all the hats and do all the things. And so I come in and like help you start like getting some of those hats off your plate. And it's Pareto's law, where 20% of your effort goes to 80% of the results. So we want to pick what is the right 20% of the tasks that are doing that are going to get you that 80% of results, so that we can reduce your workload and still increase the profits in your business.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think you do this so well. And I always feel so supported in your presence. Like, even though I haven't worked one-to-one with you, I've done a freebie, we've had a couple of chats. And I think that even the idea of operational efficiency, it just feels so supportive. And I often talk about, like, it's not just the mindset strategies to keep your mindset strong, it's the operational efficiencies to keep your mindset strong. Like, they often do the thing too, right?
It goes hand in hand though, because sometimes you think, oh, I can't actually like delegate that thing and do that thing because of this mindset idea that I have. So it's quite often we have to break down what is that mindset block so that we can take the next step of in making things efficient in your business. So yeah, it's
Yeah, beautiful. And you've been doing this for a really long time. And the thing that I love about you is that you've worked with like mini businesses, but you've also worked on like 800K launches, right?
that's
Like
right. Yeah,
all the things in between. So you've
that's
seen it
it.
all.
I have, and yeah, like it's still the same elements are inside a teeny tiny launch or your very first launch compared to an 800K launch, and everything in between. There's the same, like, let's say, 7 elements to a launch that happens that can be broken down into different categories. But
Yeah.
I would say that there's 5 blocks that come up that stop, like, that are hindering the results of your launch. So if you're not getting the results that you want from your launch, it's usually one of 5 things.
Tell us
And
what they are.
okay, number one is
I
you
know
forget.
one of them.
Yeah, fair enough. You tell me when yours comes up.
Yeah.
Number one is capacity. When you don't realize, like, you might have like an evergreen product and you think, okay, it's a course, it's online, and all I have to do is I launch it, and I can have hundreds of people sign up to it because it just does its own thing. But there's actually so much work that goes into it. Maybe it could be questions that come into your inbox, or the fact that you have to try and get in front of 1,000 eyes to get 200 people into your course. So to, like, if you're showing up to do that, there's a certain maximum level of capacity that you can handle. And if you are trying to
And
launch
there's
and
also an ideal one.
yes, that's
We
right.
don't always want to be going for maximum. I've learned that myself.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
keep
right.
going.
That's right. So when you're trying to hit maximum capacity, or like bring in more than you did last time, sometimes there's like a thought in your subconscious that says, actually, last time I hit a launch, I brought in like 50 people all at once, and it was so much work. And I didn't, like, you don't realize that if I doubled that, well, like, yes, like I'm bringing in more income, but I'm also doubling the
I'm like,
work. And just thought it makes you hide and just not actually do the, not showing up to promote it. because you're scared that you might end up with more than you have
Oh,
capacity.
I am nodding so hard right now. So hard right now. So in 2019, in 2018, or the beginning of 2019, I had my first $17,000 launch, and that was for one-on-one work, and it smashed it out of the park. And then I went on retreat with Tash Corbin in 2019, I think it was, and we came up with this huge plan. But what I had very cleverly disguised from Tash was that I was already at capacity. And so we designed like this huge launch to bring on more people. And the launch never happened because I was like this, because I was like, there's no more capacity left. Yeah.
So yeah, that is a block. And if that is like, yes, that's me, then we need to be strategic about the how many revenue streams do you have coming into your business, and like, is there a seesaw that we can make it even, rather than all VIPs and no evergreens, to okay, we need more evergreens, but that means my income is going to drop off. So finding that balance where it's just nice amount of, we've got the income and we've got the evergreen. So that's one of them, of the 5 blocks.
Yep.
The next
What's the next
one,
one?
the next one is momentum. So it's before the launch happens, you actually have to bring in new leads, get new reach. You need to stop trying to fish from the same pool. Like, we need to bring in, do some more list building. We need to actually start warming up some cold audience that haven't maybe met us before. And so that is getting the momentum going, getting the nurturing going, and getting in front of more eyes. So that's another one that sometimes we, instead of building up the momentum between launches, we go straight to, okay,
We
I'll
just go again.
list, yeah, let's go again, and you're fishing in the same pool. So
Yeah.
then the next one is conversion. So sometimes we find that our best way of converting is actually like, hop in a call and talk to me. And that is usually a really like one-to-one, really successful way of getting conversions. However, if you start looking at like a course that you're expecting to bring on 50 people, then having a one-on-one call with 50 people starts to, yeah, once again, that's a capacity thing. Like, we just can't have 50 phone calls to have that sales call with someone. And so we need to find a way of converting that sale to more than one person at a time. And different conversion strategies happen in different ways. You can have like a website is an actual conversion tool, but you need to get the people to the website in the first place. It could be a webinar, it could be a challenge, it could be just simply like work testimonials on a podcast and things like different, like, and it could be an email sequence. There's so many different ways that you can convert people, but working the right strategy for you that comes naturally to you, or that is going to have the best effect. Like we say with Pareto's law, 20% of your effort is going to get 80% of the results. So we want to see which conversion method is going to get you the best results. So that
I love that so much. And I love the progress that we make in business, because I remember the thought of having a sales conversation way back when was like the most daunting thing, until eventually, after hearing the message 56 trillion times, I realized that all I was doing was hopping on a call and helping someone to solve their problem. But it took me a long time to get there. And so then it was like converting from those conversations that I was having with people. And then my launch of Mindset Magic in December, I had my first experience of converting, and like the pings were just coming in. So I probably only chatted with 10% of the people. And it was just, so I love those, like the next step, that magic leap, it feels really cool. Yeah.
Ooh, love it. Yeah. Okay, so the next element is results. And so sometimes we can think that our results are actually like, I didn't hit the results I wanted, so that means I failed. And like having, or not knowing your results, or not knowing, okay, I tried 3 different strategies for this launch. I don't know which one was most effective because I didn't measure where those leads came from or where those conversions came from. So it could be like the money side of things. Like we don't know what to do with the money once we've got it. Like it's nice when it's sitting in your bank account, but then you realize, some of that has to go to tax and some of that has to go to expenses and some of that, well, I have to actually pay myself, which a lot of entrepreneurs don't, or like there's what to do with the results, whether they were above what you're expecting, below what you're expecting, whether you have to have like a backup plan because of the results because you didn't convert as many people as you were hoping. So that's another area that it can really hold people back from getting the results that they could get from their launch. So
it makes such a difference, and this is an area where I reckon I've done the free assessment with you. We know that I need to address more, because I think even like my launch went really well in December, but it wasn't until my online business manager, Belinda, actually calculated my conversion rate and my launch results. And she was like, that was a really good launch. And I was like, oh, like I knew it was good, but I didn't know it was that good. So it's like, sometimes, and I've probably got some previous stuff about not wanting to look too closely at the results because that might, take me off track or something. Like there's definitely some probable mindset work to do there. But it's such a good reminder to look at the results. But I also try and tell people not to look at the results too often either, especially if they're in the habit of overthinking it and creating more meaning out of it, so it's a balance.
That's it. Like there's the dead zone that happens in the middle of a launch that we don't want to look then, we don't need to look then, but we still need to compare what were the different strategies that happened in between. Exactly. There's a lot in that. Yeah, and the 5th element is absolutely what you know all about, is the mindset side of the launch, because it's like there's so much that goes through our head that is holding us back. It can be like imposter syndrome, it can be like, what is our purpose? If we've done it, a few times and we're sort of we're losing focus of, you want to go move on to the next thing and you think, well, hang on, what is the purpose? Why am I doing this in the first place? Like, is it really wearing me out and I just want to throw it all away? Or is it just that I need to focus in what is the reason that I'm doing this in the first place? Is there any limiting beliefs? Is it just like we need a bit more grit? There's lots that come into the mindset side of things, and it has a play at all stages of a launch. So
and I was recently having a conversation with Tash about this, and the level of launcher that I often support is like, they don't necessarily claim that they have a mindset issue, like, because they believe in themselves, they're super confident. But when we really like dig into it, it's like, and I would fall into this category too, it's like they get so good at convincing themselves that there's no problem, or they don't need to do the work, or they're, like, it's almost like they're a mindset expert and therefore they don't look at their stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Like other people have that problem, not me. Like I'm not supposed to have this.
Yeah. And so for me, like I'm much more leaning into like, let's just make mindset work a normal part of a launch, and then we can get the pep talks that we need. And you can, like, that's what I focus on in Mindset Magic, is sometimes people are jumping on for like the tiniest little pep talk, but that is the difference between them going and doing the incredible Facebook Live that brings in another 30 clients. Like, those little pep
Yes.
talk, like sometimes it's not even the huge deep clearing of the subconscious beliefs, which I also do with people, but sometimes it's the little pep talk and the little support that they got from the group that like makes an epic difference in their launch.
Yeah, it's funny where that comes out. I was talking to one entrepreneur, and they were saying how they make six-figure business, and they have an OBM, and they're saying that this OBM charges $50 an hour, and they have this and this task on their plate, and they're like, well, shouldn't an OBM be be doing more, or shouldn't that's a lot to be charging for. But when like I took it back, and I said, what that OBM is charging isn't got anything to do with your business. That's to do with how they value themselves. And in
Mm.
fact, the price, like if you think, okay, how much are you bringing in over a year, and how many hours do you work in that year? Say, you want to work 20 hours a week, and you bring in, 50 grand a year. If you divide those hours up, then you'll find out that you're working, I think it's about, well, don't test my math here, but it's, say $80 an hour is what you're worth for
Yeah,
yourself. So anybody who is taking work off your plate that is charging less than $80 is going to be worth the value, because that frees you up to do the bigger designing work. It's working on your business rather than in your business, and it just opens up so many more possibilities, and gets your business moving in the direction towards your vision that you want it going. So it's what I call distraction versus traction. We want our business going towards the traction, and we don't know what we're being distracted from unless we know where we're going. So like that's a
yeah,
huge part of yeah
totally.
productivity, is like, oh, I'm distracted all the time, I'm not getting enough done. And the question is, well, where are you going? What are you distracted from? What's the traction supposed to be? So
Yeah,
having like looking at that progress is a big part of it. And if you're not working on that traction, then maybe 40 hours of your day is considered of your week is distraction, because you're not actually doing the work that is going to move the business forward.
totally. And in like going back to my launch again in December, I think the biggest difference for me, well, I hired my own mindset coach. That's always a good one. But also having the support of a dedicated OBM, so that I wasn't really looking after my health during that time. And so I did feel pretty fatigued during the middle of my launch.
Mm.
Mindset wise, I felt like it was a pretty easy and fun launch. But what it enabled me to do was rest in the middle of my launch. And my OBM was still taking action. My launch was still continuing. And then I got to come back at the end with a vengeance. And like there was no, so I think it having that support, like whether it's a business coach, whether it's an OBM, whether it's a mindset coach, like just the more support you can give yourself, the easier and the more fun
Absolutely.
your launches are going to be, right?
And that improves your energy, which improves like
Yeah.
the results, because you're
Yeah.
attracting people in different ways. And
Yeah. And it's
it's
only because of all of the mindset work that I've done that I was able to tune into my energy levels. But it's only because of the OBM that I had already hired that I was able to go, I can actually rest now and then come back when I'm good, And so then it wasn't a full burnout. It wasn't a it wasn't a failed launch. It wasn't anything, because we had it sorted amongst the team. Yeah.
love it, love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Got
So
any
cool.
questions?
Oh, I always have questions for you. Okay. So I know that half of my audience are experienced launchers and half have never done a launch yet. Let's focus 2 seconds on, or a couple of minutes on, the ladies who have never done a launch yet. What would you say to them? Because for me, I know like a launch sounds scary, but what is a launch? Like, why should they consider launching?
Ooh, okay.
I can help you out on this one.
Okay. There's probably there's a few answers to that. Like a launch is, it means that you are marketing in intervals. So you might have an evergreen product, but you are putting like a gate up.
Yeah,
So
like a start date and an end date, and
yeah,
your dedicated promotion time of one thing, basically.
exactly. So think of it like a concert. So, if it's, Spice Girls are coming and you've got the fingers hovered over that button, ready to press it because you know the date it's coming out, and the day it's completely sold out in an hour. And then so it hits the news, Spice Girls fans didn't get their tickets because it got sold out in an hour, and so it hits the news, and then they make this announcement and say, oh, because of the popularity of how quickly it sold out, we're actually going to open up 3 more concerts on the same in the same week. And so anyone who missed out because they got sold in an hour has the opportunity to actually attend in 3 other instances. So they're controlling the numbers that come in because they're controlling the supply and demand. So that is what happens in a launch, is you are controlling the supply and demand so that you can keep an eye on your capacity, so that you can be able to predict the income that's going to come in. And it means that people, like, there's more urgency to buying now rather than waiting for it. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of strategy behind launching that is so worth it.
Yeah.
Even though
And what I would say to those people is they're probably already doing some sort of launching already. Like if they're doing the webinar with a early bird rate into a VIP package, and then they're closing, like, that is a mini launch. And I remember my first launch was a mini launch, and then at the end of it, I think that was my 17K launch, and then I was like, that wasn't that mini.
Yeah. In fact, a launch can be, okay, I've got 3 VIP spaces at $100 an hour, and that's it. And then for the next 3 spaces that you have, even if you have like 20 spaces, the next 3 spaces are now at $150 an hour. So, like, get in before it, like, snap up those 3 spaces, because the next time it's going to be $200 an hour. So, like, it's keeping that supply and demand, and it helps you realize, okay, like, when you're hitting your price rises, if you do it gradually, it means like, oh, I had 3 people who bought at 100. So, what happens if I ask for more? Like, I have 3 people, so I'm satisfied. So what happens if I say this price and then 3 more people buy, and you're like, oh, so what happens if I try it at this price? And, like, you're in control of that price rise, and it's like based on supply and demand. So you're not making it super cheap and having 20 people come in and wearing yourself out, but you're also not pricing yourself out so that nobody can have, like, nobody wants you because you're super expensive. Because if, well, there's only spaces for 3 and people really want to work with you, that they're going to snap up that offer quickly. And so that's, yeah.
I have the most beautiful story to tell around this. So one of my clients, a lot of the mindset work that I do with people in launch mode is them feeling into what feels good for them. Because if we do what feels good for them, then we're more magnetic to our clients. We're more in line with our capacity, where it's just smooth sailing, right?
Yeah.
And so I did a hypnosis with this client of mine, and one of the pieces of wisdom that came out of that hypnosis was, I don't want a launch end date. They don't need to buy, they can just buy. So it was a cool experiment, right? So I was like, cool, let's go with that. So then she went off, and I was meeting with her every fortnight. Then she went off and continued her launch, and she had all this feedback from all of her clients going, or potential clients going, when is it closing? When is it closing? All they wanted to know is when it was closing. So she ended up having to put a launch end date in, because people want to know when they have to buy. So she thought it
That's
felt
right.
like her original wisdom was
Yeah.
that she didn't want to do the scarcity model or like the, pressuring people to buy by a certain date. But in the end, she was like, this is why I'm putting the end date in. It's not because of the scarcity model or whatever. People want to know.
Yeah, that's right. They want to know
It was a
how long
really cool, yeah, it was a super cool thing that I got to watch like play out. So now I'm like, no, just put a launch date in. And normally, like, I still would I would still let someone follow their wisdom if they didn't want to put a launch end date, but I'll tell them that story and normally they'll change their mind.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'd say like the next element to launching is actually building assets.
Mm.
Now, assets are like things that you can use over and over again. Like it's value you can reuse. Now, from like an accounting point of view, an asset is like a car. Well, it's technically a depreciating asset, but we won't go there.
Yeah. Something
And so
you've bought that still holds
equipment,
value. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's considered an asset. But actually, like assets can come in other forms, and the more assets you have in place, the more your business is worth. It brings in more money. It's more sellable if you want to sell it. It runs like it has more of a capacity to be able to run itself when you have enough assets in place. So assets could be simply like a sales page is an asset, or a webinar slides is an asset. Even just a webinar you've already recorded is an asset. Photography is an asset. There's so many, even like the copy in your automated emails is an asset because it can be used again and again and again. Yes, we might need to tweak it and improve it, and we should always, be tweaking and improving different aspects if we need it. But like the more elements you have that can be used again for the next launch, and then it can grow and be and used again and improved and used again, then that means like less work that you have to do again in the next launch. You're not starting from scratch, reinventing the wheel. So you're creating these elements of assets that can be used in a launch. So that is another piece of advice for you.
And the next asset I am going to create in my business is to make an evergreen funnel asset. I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet. So that people can come into the membership at any point in time. Yeah. Not sure what that's going to look like yet. But.
So it's instead of it does the work for you instead of you having to have the time to have a call with them, talk them through, and then hopefully your assets will do that conversion for you.
Yeah. Super cool. Super cool. And so what is it that you what do I want to ask you? What's one mindset aha moment that you have had along the way? I know that's a tricky question because there's probably been many, but just what's one that you would love other people to know?
It's that you probably already know the answer, but it's just doing it. Like, yes, you should probably do X, Y, and Z, but you're getting distracted by something else, or you're doing busy work, or you're doing like that big humongous project that is just sitting there haunting you and you keep putting off to tomorrow. That's probably what you should be doing. And so maybe it means like breaking down that project so you can just do 15 minutes of it every day. I use an example of my tax. For me, I'm a numbers lady, but I knew I had to do my year-end tax, and it probably would be maybe 2 or 3 days worth of work. So a good 8 hours over 2 or 3 days that I needed to put in so that I could send it off to my accountant and get a refund. But instead, I kept putting it off because I kept thinking, well, I don't have an 8-hour day. Like I never could find an 8-hour day because there was always too much to do. And so I thought to myself, I gave myself a deadline. Okay, I've got between now and the end of the year. There was like September or something. I gave myself a deadline of December, and I said if I break down that three days work into 15-minute chunks, and I did it 5 days a week for the next 3 months, then I know that I would be able to get it in on time. And so I had it in my diary. There was a block, 15 minutes, and that was it. It happened at 10 o'clock every day before I continued on to do my, I do a Pomodoro session,
Mm.
do a block of work, and before I did that I would do 15 minutes of tax, and I ended up doing in half the time that I'd allocated for it. But it was just like I just little chipped at it day to day because it looked like a huge big task, but if I
Mm.
just did that 15 minutes I knew it would get done by that due date. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. And you've touched on so many things here, like scheduling it in. For me,
Yes.
for me, I'm often, when people feel overwhelmed by a task, I'm often just getting them to shrink it down in their like whatever they're playing in their head, we shrink that picture down. But that also, like by breaking it up into 15 minutes, that also has the effect of shrinking it down, right? Because it doesn't feel overwhelming. Yeah. And I feel like I have to do that every week. Like every Monday night, Monday morning, I still sometimes notice myself drop into that, like, oh, it's going to be a big week. And then I'm like, oh, I always have to like remind myself, shrink it down. I'm just going to start this thing. Like, yeah. And the other
Yeah.
thing I would say is like, I've also got a reoccurring thing in my calendar to do my bookkeeping transactions every week. And my bookkeeper, Miranda, has set me up with the most incredible bookkeeping system. So it is really freaking simple now. But I often leave it for the month. I sometimes I'm doing it weekly, sometimes I'm doing it monthly. And monthly is still fine because it's not that much in there. But every time I do it weekly, I'm like, oh, this is so much easier than doing it monthly because it's so much smaller.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you can attach like a reward to it, so okay, if I do my 15 minutes if I do my bookkeeping, then I can go watch an episode of watching, Keeping Up with the Kardashians afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, give yourself little rewards by making those achievements week to week, and it makes life so much easier. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think I mean, we love chatting because it's the practical with the magical that makes, like, sometimes it's, yes, we need to work out what's going on in here and address that, and that's totally my jam. But sometimes it's just scheduling it in, getting the accountability of a coach, getting the support that you need, because as you said before, like most often, like when you go to work with a coach, I used to think we were going to come up with some like grand scheme that I'd never heard of before. And I was like, I pretty much know what we're going to be talking about. They're just going to help me do it.
Yes, that's it. And sometimes it's a matter of like, maybe I just need to work out what my capacity is. I've never worked that out before. And if I limited my capacity, will I be making enough money? And like, is there a direct line between my capacity and my income? And if not, we need to tweak that. And just having another pair of eyes that has the emotion taken out of it, and it can make all the difference for sure.
Yeah, and like so many times I've been challenged. Like I just love having, whether it's a business coach, whether it's a mindset coach, it's someone to challenge you on things, right? Because I was like, right, I'm happy to have 20 clients a week. And now I've dropped back to 5 clients a week because I'm like, I don't need 20 clients a week. I've got my membership now. Why was I still thinking in my brain that I needed to have 20 clients a week? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect.
And that was as a result of somebody being like, 20? Why 20? I was like, oh yeah.
Yes, it's easy to do. I understand.
Yeah, cool. So I would love for you to tell everyone about the freebie that I went through, because it was just doing the freebie was
Yeah,
so insightful for me.
that's it. It was a series of questions that we went through, and we covered the 5 launch blocks that I already talked about: capacity, momentum, conversion, results, and mindset. And there was like questions that we dug into to see which is the most particular area that is holding your launch back, that could help you if you like address that one vital need, that you could move yourself to the next level and break through and improve your results. So yeah, that's just a one-on-one session that we do together. I go through a series of questions and I end up with an answer for you at the end of it so that you can concentrate.
Yeah. Such high value in that free session with you. Like even me knowing, so my results were, I'll tell everybody, my results were that I needed to know my results more. But even like I'm going to do a session with you at some point, but even since December doing my launch, I've had more focus on my results. I haven't just from knowing that. Yeah. And knowing, so it's super cool.
Brilliant. And then you can use that to reflect and improve and keep the momentum going for the next one.
Yeah. So good. And so tell us a little bit about, like, if somebody is watching us right now and they're like, I need a bit of Laurie in my life, how do you work with people at the moment?
Yeah, usually one-on-one sessions is how I work. I would like to put together a little mastermind group session, but haven't launched that yet. So at the moment, it's just
you do have a few things going on. You're still in lockdown, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, in the UK, strict lockdown, homeschooling the kids. Yeah, just trying to keep all the balls in the air at the moment. So I'm not launching the group program just yet. So one-to-one with me. Yeah, you can I can give you a link to book a call if you want to do that.
Amazing. And I highly recommend the free assessment to anyone this has just piqued their interest, because it's really amazing. So thank you so much for chatting with me today. I just feel like we could talk for hours on all of this.
That's true. I had lots of fun.
Yeah, I feel like we'll have to do an episode 2. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to put them in the comments, because if there's a need for it, I'm sure Laurie would be happy to jump on and have another chat to us. But thank you so much, and sending you so much love. Be kind to yourself during lockdown. I know it's been a long time for you guys, and hopefully things will turn around for the UK soon.
Yeah, that's right. I think everyone's hoping on that the
vaccine
will help fix everything sooner rather than later, hopefully. So yeah, exactly.
We have all of our fingers and toes crossed for you. And thank God for Zoom. Why did we all invest in Zoom before coronavirus?
Yes, exactly. It's funny because I've been like, I've used it for years, and people are like, what is this Zoom?
Like, I know. I think we're really lucky. Like, as entrepreneurs, we all had Zoom already. But yeah, it's like the rest of the world just got on board.
That's right, which is a lot easier to say, hey, let's jump on a Zoom, rather than now make sure you've downloaded the app so that the link will work. So at least everyone knows how it works.
Totally. And I've taught my 70+ mum, and she does all her bridge on Zoom. And even though she's allowed to go out now, she still runs the Zoom session every week. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Super cool. All right. Thank you so much. Sending you so much love, and goodbye.
Until next time.
Until next time. Bye.